Saverio Panessa. I'm an engineer by trade, but I am the general manager at Cintoco. We are a family-owned company owned by the Total Group of companies, and I've been with the group for about 30 years. Spent some time in automotive, and now I'm running our injection molding company, which makes toilet seats. We also have another company called Peter Anthony Designs that does interior fast food furniture for McDonald's, Wendy's, and some of the bigger chains. So we've adapted Epicor for both of those facilities. We had about a 30-year-old DOS-based system that somebody bought to print invoices, and somehow we were still leveraging that to do everything. And we were downloading data dumps into Excel, and everybody was so proud of their excellent Excel sheets. And it's an analysis tool, it's not a management tool. But because everybody was so great at it, they were using it to manage our business. But every time we added a part, added an employee, there was always this risk of destroying all our data integrity. There was no way to get the data when you needed it. So one of my big goals was no one waiting for data from someone else, from order to invoice, quoting, everything in one place. Well, Success approached us. What surprised us the most about the implementation, the scope of the software itself, how many problems we think we have that are original, yet as we start digging into it, we see that Epicor's already covered it off. We really haven't found anything so far that we do that's so special that Epicor hasn't covered off. One of our big objectives was using Epicor out of the box. So realizing it was capable of so much customizing, we had to kind of make a decision up front. Are we going to bend to Epicor, or are we going to spend a pile of time trying to replicate what we've been doing for the past 30 years, which is likely outdated? So we took a kind of a phased implementation, which is really important, I think, not to bite off more than you can chew. So the first round was really about getting all the basics in place so we could get a statement out. And after about 3 months, we got our first statement out, and we currently get statements in 2 days after the month is done. Phase two was kind of, from the operations side, what I had looked for was the scheduling tools. You got to spend the time. Everything has to be right for this to work. So just to give you a sense, resources would be like whatever your constraints are that dictate your scheduling. So we have about 150 resources. We have about 2,800 customers and over 2,000 parts between finished goods, raw materials, and subcomponents. So in order for the scheduling to work, we had to scrub our sales history, get a forecast together. We had to get all our inventory scrubbed, all our BOMs, all our bills of operation, all our resources had to be right. Supplier lead times, calendars for the suppliers, scheduling parameters. All of this stuff has to be right. Then MRP and scheduling runs correctly, and you get a schedule and like you talked about, PO suggestions for your purchasing guys. The main event is these tools that Epicor offers. So ShopLoad, generate a forecast. This up top here is the schedule in the yellow and brown. This is a very powerful tool. It's called a projected sales order shortage report. It'll let you know all your orders. Are any of them going to be late? If they're going to be late, when are they going to be ready? ShopLoad capacity is fantastic. We used to struggle so much to figure out how many people do we need? How many people do we need to hire? Once we got this going, it's in seconds, we can look ahead and say, okay, our capacity needs to go up or down in the next month. So a real game changer for us was the capable to promise function. And that gave our customer service reps the immediate ability to answer a customer's question on availability of product. This was something they typically would have taken a few hours or a day to get back to them on, whereas now they can, on the spot, within seconds, understand what material is available, and if it's not available, when it will be available, and firm those dates up immediately. And I think in this day and age, when people are looking for very fast answers, that's one of the biggest benefits of Epicor that we got out of the system. The next phase we kind of got into was more of our KPIs. We had a debate about this too. Everything's available in real time. You can always go and look. But I found it myself, the day keeps going by and you forget to look. So I set us a kind of a goal that I'd like to see all our KPIs in my mailbox every Monday, knowing that at any point during the week, I can always jump in there and look. So I now have, coming out of Epicor, quality, delivery, efficiency, scrap, indirect, all these reports filling my mailbox on Monday morning. If I can go through them, we have them at plant level, shift level, supervisor level, employee level. They're all fine-tuned for whoever the audience is, and they're all programmed to go out every Sunday night. In the meantime, if someone wants to see something that doesn't make sense, they can drill down and and get all the details. The next phase we took on was kind of automating and dashboard. So we were sending out sales order acknowledgements to our customers by printing PDFs, sticking them in an email, printing POs into PDFs and emailing those out. Invoices were being put into PDFs and emailed out. So we scrubbed all our contacts and got that going. So now as soon as you release an order, it goes out automatically by email. As soon as you approve a PO, it goes out to the customer. Same with invoices. They all automatically go out in addition to the EDI that someone asked about. To give you an example of something we built out, wasn't hard to do at all. In the last couple of years, it's been hard managing your supply chain. So we kept asking this same question, with what we have on hand. If nothing else comes in, when are we going to run out? Again, simple question, kept asking it over and over, and do it once and then you have it forever, right? So we built this out. We can now see with what we have on hand, when we hit our minimum level of inventory and when we run out. We can also see when the next order comes out, when does that burn off? And then with all the orders we've placed, how much coverage do we have? So last thing we're taking on is kind of sales tools. We're getting back into looking at sales projections for the month based on our actual schedule and our forecast and the open orders we have. The customer relationship module, a little more quote tracking. So we kind of circled back to something we ignored at the beginning. So I thought I'd leave you with my top 3 suggestions because you guys are possibly considering Epicor. If you do take it on, suggestion number 1 is phased implementation. One of our companies tried to take on way too much up front and they failed. And then we had to reboot the implementation and kind of break it into smaller pieces. So they tried to do everything, they were like, wow, we want to have all this. And it just doesn't work like that for me. I think smaller pieces, defined phases, check the box, make sure the foundation's right before you start building. Next one, I can't say this enough. Like, you got to get everybody trained. This idea that a few key people will figure it out and then they'll disseminate it throughout the troops doesn't work. Again, I've seen that fail. I've seen the other side where these guys from Success came in. We left the training open to anybody. If you're not in scheduling and you're a supervisor and you want to understand scheduling, come on in. The training was open regardless of what the topic was. The guys at Success came in. They had a group that was grabbing it. They accelerated. They had a group that was not quite getting it. They slowed it down. So they did a great job for us. My last point, I can't say it enough. I say it every day almost. When I see an Excel sheet, I kind of freak out at work. So if I have to hear, I have an Excel sheet and the numbers don't quite match with Epicor, and I'm like, well, I know which one's right. And if it's not right, you probably didn't punch a number in right. So go fix the number. It's a simple message, but you got to say it. If you do this, it's going to take a while. I don't know how much time everybody spent. They constantly checking and cross-referencing. And, I have this Excel sheet and it doesn't match. Why doesn't it match? And, in the end, it was some error in the Excel sheet. So Epicor works. The math is solid. You don't have to second guess it. The implementation and the managing the change that was involved, I would say we had a relatively positive experience. Obviously, the 80-20 rule applies. There's always people that are going to push back, but generally our team was motivated and interested in a new system. But there were a lot of questions, a lot of doubt, which I think is somewhat healthy as long as you don't let it paralyze you. It did help us flush out some of the setup, some of the configuration that was needed for things to work right, because people were bringing up different exceptions that might exist. So I think you have to listen to people, but at the same time, you have to make sure that people are moving at a certain pace and they're getting all the training they need. I would recommend Epicor and Success Partners to anyone looking for an ERP system. I think whether you're in mass production or custom product, I've seen the system work for both. It's solid, continues to evolve and grow every time we update. There's new features that are very functional, things that other people are looking for that apply to our business also. So yeah, it's a great product, and Success does a great job of training. So I would definitely recommend them.